Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Where do they find these people? That's the question I have to ask regarding how people get hired in the comic book industry. Now, these days in the comic book industry, I'm wondering, where do they hire these people who have absolutely no talent whatsoever, and how do these people who have no talent whatsoever get these jobs on top tier books at companies like Marvel, DC, Image, and Dynamite? And I have to ask that question because when I look at the interiors of these books, I see stories that make no logical sense. I see artwork that basically looks like something a fifth grader drew, and I see an industry where there seems to be absolutely no standards whatsoever being enforced by editorial, and I have to wonder who is in charge of the hiring, because it seems like so many no talents are coming through, and they're producing some of the worst comics I have ever seen in my life. Now, I ask the question, where do they find these people? Because I look again at these comics and I don't see anything that meets the standards that I used to see back in the 70s when I first discovered comics at 4 years old, or in the 80s when I was a kid, or in the 90s when I was a teenager. I don't see any of the standards as related to line work for art. I don't see any sort of standards for storytelling, for art and writing, and I just sit there and it baffles me to see all of these people coming into this business and none of them having any sort of craft whatsoever. Now, this really baffles me because as someone who has been a publisher for over 10 years and been a writer for over 30 years, it makes me again shake my head, because in my years of being in publishing, I don't see anything related to the comic book industry approaching using business practices, because you would think that with this being a business, you would be looking to try to create a product that you would want to sell to customers. You would think that the comic book industry would be focused on its business, because in publishing, everything is on the most razor thin of profit margins, and in the publishing industry overall, 90% of books fail and only the 10% make money. And in this business where the profit margin is razor thin, you would think that editorial would be focusing on making the very best product it could make. But when I look at the comic book industry, they're not really focused on making good product that meets any sort of standard based on what I'm seeing these days. No, what I'm seeing these days as related to comics is there's basically no standard at all, and we basically they're looking to find whoever they want to work on these books, and a lot of the people working on these books really show that they have no craft whatsoever based on what I'm seeing on their pages. Because what I'm seeing on their pages is just absolutely terrible. Many of these folks can't really write a coherent story. Many of these artists can't really draw a good shot as related to frames, and they really don't know how to make the panel sequence. I'm seeing real serious issues as related to comics, and I just wonder, where do they find these people? Because I see so many good quality people working in the indies, and I'm wondering, why is it that we've got all this talent that can actually know how to go out here and sequence a panel, people who know how to make a script where everything flows and sequences? Why are these people working in the indies, and mainstream comics got a lot of people who just create trash work? Now, I have been told that some of the reasons why these people get hired is because of the low page rates that many comic publishers pay That's possibly one of the reasons why they are looking to find these people, because they can't go out here and offer jobs to the top talents, because they're not going to go out here and work for low pay. Moreover, they're not going to work for low pay under a work for hire deal where they're not going to be able to get any sort of compensation for licensing of characters for merchandise or other things like film and movie and TV, things that could allow these people to be wealthy. So a lot of folks basically are staying on the sidelines and not looking to work in mainstream comics. And as they look to not work in mainstream comics, what these people are doing are basically looking to work on their own independent projects. So that basically is making some people, again, stay on the sidelines. And in the case of others, they're staying on the sidelines because many of these comic publishers, really, the editorial is just completely clueless. So they really can't go out here and really pitch the stories that they want or tell the stories that they want. That's basically what I have been hearing, that people really are, again, not really looking to come into the business because they really just can't really be as creative as they want due to editorial basically stuck in a what I consider to be neutral as related to this complete deconstructed story model where we just keep seeing characters basically torn apart, or in the case of DC Comics, this over-focus on continuity, and in the case of both Marvel and DC, this over-focus on events. That's really frustrating for a creator to work with because you can't really get your story going for your run when they constantly are putting events in your way. That's a really frustrating situation for a creator to be in, where you're constantly getting events thrown at you. You're just trying to get your momentum going so that you can define this character or get your storyline straight. I can understand why some people possibly wouldn't want to work in that situation, and the only people who would take that job basically would be just desperate to just get into the business. But the whole thing is, again, I wonder, where do they find these people? Because I listen to guys like Comics Matter, your boy Zach. He has the speculation that they find most of these people on Tumblr. And again, I have to wonder, is that one of the sources they find them? I mean, because I look at the talent there, and again, it's not really refined as related to being able to work. I mean, do they really find these guys on Tumblr and Fiverr? I mean, because I look at the quality of the work, and it's just not good. I mean, I wonder why you would hire these people, because they're not really the kind of people that are going to help you build your business. But when your company is basically running on venture capitalist money in some cases, or it's a subsidiary of a corporation, a lot of people don't really care about quality because they're basically knowing that the company is just there to maintain the trademarks of these characters, so they're not really focused on quality. So that's possibly why they really don't really want to find somebody of quality, because what they fear is that if they find someone of quality, they basically will look like the mediocre people they are. But the whole thing is, I wonder, again, where do they find these people? I mean, where do you find people like this? Because from what I know as a publisher, again, everything is about sales, and you really want to focus on sales because, again, in a business where you have a razor-thin profit margin, again, the 90% of the books you launch are going to fail, and only 10% of the books are going to do well. So you want to try to mitigate those losses, and you want to try to mitigate those losses by going out here and finding talent that will help you make money. And I wonder why the comic book industry doesn't focus on trying to find people who can help them make money, because again, I look at a lot of this talent, and it doesn't really have that way of drawing as talent. I mean, most publishers, again, want to try to find talent that can draw, because with your list, you want to have books that can draw, and you want to have authors and artists who can draw and, again, bring sales to your business. You want to have those people because, again, where you have this razor-thin profit margin, you want to try to mitigate it as possible by going out here and minimizing your risk by making sure you can hire talent that can sell. But when I look at the whole comic book industry, they go out here and just get these inexperienced people and get these inexperienced people who are slash activists. And again, these people have no real talent, and as a result of them having no talent, they have no real drawing power as a creator. And because they don't have any drawing power as a creator, their books just don't sell. I mean, outside of a little bit of controversy on social media, their books really don't get that much press. And what's really even sadder than this is that these people don't even know how to market themselves the way I do here on the SJS Direct Imprint. I mean, at least in my videos, I try to market my books to basically try to generate some sales by doing things like making the ads that you see in front of the videos, and go out here and use my social media to not only let people get to know me, but also get to know my work and let them know that it's available. I don't see many comic creators going out here and using their platforms to try to build their business, because I believe many comic pros don't understand that they are a business. And sadly, they're sitting here on social media getting polarized and talking about politics when you need to be focusing on using your platform for making money, because the ultimate goal for you as a writer or an artist is to make sure that you get your next job. And you can only get your next job in entertainment if you have a good last job. That's something many creators aren't really getting, that the only way you can get more jobs is to be able to have good last jobs, and the only way you can graduate to other jobs is to go out here and have solid runs where people can see that your work is consistent. But what I'm seeing these days in the comic book industry is, that's mind-boggling to me, is that people will fail and have no sales. People will go out here and get cooked and roasted, and they will go out here and still continue to get work. And that boggles my mind as a creator who's been a publisher for over 20 years. Not 20 years, but 15 years. I've been a writer for over 30 years. I mean, it just baffles my mind that people don't have a sales record and can't prove that they can sell books. People who don't have a reputation for consistency, they just continue to get work, because in any other business, these people would not be working. But in the comic book industry, they continue to get work, mainly because many of the people in editorial put politics in over business, and that's not a good recipe, because if you put politics over business, where you're looking to try to again meet whatever political agenda you have, or try to gain clout and influence with people over things like Whisper Networks, what you're doing is putting your entire business in jeopardy. Because again, when you're in the publishing business, it's all about trying to get the 10% of the books to sell that will basically mitigate the cost of the 90. And that's the thing that again boggles my mind, because these people think that the corporations that they work for over like at Warner Brothers Discovery and Disney, with Marvel and DC, some of these people think that the pocket is going to be endless, but eventually it's going to come to an end, because there's only so many losses you can take, in business. And that's what a lot of people just don't understand, because they don't really have to spend the money on these bad scripts or these bad interiors. They're thinking, oh, I'm paying $50 a page, I'm saving money and on my budget. But if you're going out here and putting poor quality product out here, what you're going to do is impact your whole overall business long term, like I'm seeing with all of the comic shops, which are basically stuck with all of this dead product that's just basically being made to maintain the trademarks for all of these catalogs, basically being made for the sake of being made. And that's not how you run an entertainment business, because in an entertainment business, you want to again publish material that can eventually wind up selling very well to pull a profit. And eventually what you want to do is create material that can eventually be sold as related to rights for adaptation. This is what's flying over the heads of many people in entertainment. as related to the overall business, it's flying over their heads that they're basically imploding their business, because if you have poor quality writers, because they're going to be a foundation for garbage source material that winds up getting adapted by more inexperienced writers, creating terrible TV shows and movies that flop at the box office, and creating a chain reaction of failure that winds up, again, eventually costing a business. And this is why companies like Paramount Global, Warner Brothers Discovery, and many others are struggling right now, because they have this whole group of people who fail upwards. And as these people fail upwards, what they do is create, again, a chain of failure. But sadly, nobody's connecting the dots that it's all about the people in your business. And unless you can find quality people who have a skill as related to their ability to tell stories in pictures, you're not going to be able to get material to adapt. You're not going to get material to adapt, because eventually you're going to reach a point where you run out of old source material and have to start doing the new, like what we see with Marvel Studios right now. All of the classic material has run out, and now they're trying to adapt many of these modern stories, and many of them are failing miserably. And they're failing miserably because, again, they didn't think to vet the people that they hired, and didn't think about where they found these people, and didn't think about where they found these people and the damage that they're doing to their business, because they're not competent, they're not capable of doing basic tasks, and they're not really qualified for the job. That's what people aren't really thinking about as related to these situations, and that's why we've got these comic book companies. Again, I'm sitting there wondering, where do you find these people? Where do you find these people who basically are just destroying your business? I mean, I would like to know where you find these people, because I want to avoid dealing with any of them, because in a professional business, you want to find people who can generate sales, build a brand, go out here and build a professional reputation for your business. That's what you want to find for your business, and that's not what we're seeing in the comic book industry. And I'm wondering, again, where do they find these people? Because these people are some of the worst I've seen as related to professionalism, as related to business ethics, as related to being able to have skills. I mean, I look at this whole state of this comic book industry, and again, it makes me shake my head, because business is only as good as its people, and sadly, many in the comic book business have been stuck in dysfunction for so long, they don't even know what a quality person looks like as related to their business. Now, my first full comic, John Haynes at Death's Door, is available on Lulu.com right now in paperback, and it's available on Kindle and Comixology in digital format, and you can get your copy by clicking the links in the description box. And I also have another comic I did called Esteem No Good Deed, which is on Kindle for 99 cents, and you can find it in the same place that you can get John Haynes at Death's Door. And you can find both of those comics, along with the books of the SJS Direct Universe, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find all of those books at other online booksellers like Draft to Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, and big box retailers like Walmart and Target. And if you want to help me be able to make more videos and pay for the book covers of upcoming SJS Direct books, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, Illuminati. The man who rules the world takes on the head of the global elite in this all-new action-packed John Haynes series adventure. Get your copy of John Haynes Illuminati in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, Esteem Horror in the Hamptons. The aspiring angel tries to escape a house of horrors in this action-packed, all-new Esteem series adventure. Get your copy of Esteem Horror in the Hamptons in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers everywhere. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.